Well, as the situation in Afghanistan continues to devolve into utter chaos and the abject incompetence of the buck stops here and there and everywhere else but here, Biden administration continues to evolve. Even some congressional Democrats are realizing they got to distance themselves from President Biden, and they're even accusing him of flat out lying in his address on Afghanistan and of orchestrating a catastrophe. Democrat Representative Seth Moulton confirmed that Biden's claim that Afghans didn't want to leave was completely untrue. His words were stronger than that, and I won't repeat all of them verbatim. It seems Congress had been begging the White House for months to expedite thousands of requests for special immigrant visas to get Afghans who would help the U.S. out and then to get them out safely. But the paperwork backlog delayed them until it was too late. House Democrat Jim Longevin also got in on the fun. He published an opinion piece in Foreign Policy calling this situation a catastrophe and saying, quote, "At minimum, the Biden administration owed our Afghan allies of 20 years a real plan. They also owed it to our military service members and their families, particularly the men and women in uniform and their families who gave the ultimate sacrifice, not to mention the women and girls of Afghanistan who are now experiencing a devastating new reality," end quote. He continues in the article, picking up the quote here, "While U.S. troops were protecting the homeland from another attack, they fought for human rights, stymied the Taliban's repressive ideology that the vast majority of Afghans do not want, and they prevented the humanitarian catastrophe. Had they remained longer, they also would have ensured a safe exit for interpreters, journalists, and activists, many of whom may never get out," end quote. Now, while I would advise against believing the best about the motivations of politicians, especially a Democrat, Congressman Longevin's words nevertheless ring true. Naturally, congressional Republicans are pulling no punches in calling out Biden's lies either. Responding to White House National Security Advisor John Sullivan's statement that, quote, "the president did not think it was inevitable that the Taliban would take over," end quote, Senator Marco Rubio didn't let that statement lay around. He said, "This administration was specifically told that Afghan forces would surrender faster than our ability to exit. They decided to ignore these warnings and smugly tell everyone how smart and brilliant they are." Clearly, Joe Biden is no leader. Immediately after Monday's brief speech in which he basically said that he'll take responsibility for his actions, well, as soon as everyone else takes responsibility for theirs, President Biden went back to his Camp David vacation and the White House continued its silence. Tell me, Democrat or Republican, do you really think Trump would have ducked and covered at a time like this? Because if you do, you really do need to see a therapist for that Trump derangement syndrome. But for those who wonder how the administration can just shut down at such a time, conservative commentator Ian McKelvey believes that both the Afghan debacle and the silence are intentional. McKelvey unearthed an article in the Atlantic magazine reporting that Joe Biden had always been the strongest advocate in the Obama White House for pulling out of Afghanistan, regardless of the consequences for the Afghan people, because he didn't think there would be any political price to pay for it. Obama's special representative for Afghanistan and Pakistan, Richard Holbrooke, wrote in his diary in 2010 that when he reminded Biden of America's obligations to Afghans like the girl in the Kabul school, Biden replied, and forgive the language, "F that. We don't have to worry about that. We did it in Vietnam. Nixon and Kissinger got away with it," end quote. So if he seems uncaring about the fate of the Afghan people who trusted us, well, he is. And if he refuses to talk to the media for a week or let anyone in his administration talk, maybe it's because he thinks that after a week of silence, the lapdog media will just let this story blow over and they'll all forget about it. I don't know about you, but I'm so glad we got rid of that bad orange man who tweeted mean things a lot. And now we got someone at the White House that we can Just know we'll try to always fool ourselves into believing that he really cares about our feelings. We're all definitely better off with our doddering president. But you know who won't forget that we have a weak president who puts political calculations ahead of principles and commitment to our allies? I'll tell you who. Every enemy we have on earth, starting with China, which claimed, it shows, that the U.S. abandons its allies, and pointedly, China asked, is this some kind of omen for Taiwan's future fate? And you know who else won't forget? Our current and potential future allies. Biden has desecrated our word and our image on the world stage. But more importantly, he's desecrated our word and our image here at home as well. That said, there is good news. As much as Americans hate getting involved in foreign wars, there's something we dislike more: getting our tails handed to us in a fight. And as such, Biden's approval ratings have plummeted following his bungling of the Afghanistan withdrawal. There are thousands of American civilians still trapped there with no assurance of safety from the administration. By the way, he slipped below 50% for the first time since taking office. There's still much work to do, but it's looking more and more like that red wave is coming in 2022. Veteran Navy SEAL Jimmy Graham served in Kabul and Benghazi a decade ago. I'm going to be interviewing him on the show, Huckabee, this Saturday night on TBN at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. I hope you'll do yourself a favor. Don't miss that. And I'll also be live streaming tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central, so come with your questions or comments, and if you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll leave a like and a comment, and click the subscribe button and notification bell below. Remember, for more of my news analysis and commentary, you can sign up for my newsletter at MikeHuckabee.com. That'll be delivered to your email inbox twice a day, and it is absolutely free. Well, that's it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.